We are NOR. We are a transportation solutions company. And today we're kicking off the Arlington on the Move project. Next slide, please. So just introducing the project team, we have our main sponsor, the City of Arlington. And then we have our liaison from the City of Arlington, Mr. Gregory Ringer, who is going to be communicating between us, our team, and then the City of Arlington team. We have Mr. Rodrigo Barreto, who's going to be leading phase 1 of the project, which is the bus station development and the route planning. And then we have Ms. Oriofa Edeniji. She's the project manager for vehicle procurement and staff resourcing. And then there's me. I'm going to be the documentation manager for the project. Next slide, please. Just giving a quick background on the City of Arlington, it has a lot of sports teams, as you can see from the logos. It has two of the biggest manufacturers in America, Lockheed Martin and General Motors, two amusement parks, and then the second largest university in Texas. With a population of 395,000, you'd expect a city this big to have a public transportation already for it. But unfortunately, this city still doesn't have one, and this is where we come in to address that issue. Next slide, please. So today we have a lot of materials to cover. Here you can see the key contents. Out of these, I would pay particular attention to stakeholder requirements. We should look at the approval process, the scope, the timeline, and then obviously the key important things are the risks, the assumptions, the issues, and the dependencies. We're gonna tie it off with a reporting and communication plan for the project, and finally we'll open it up for question sessions, to address any questions or concerns you guys may have. Next slide, please. To start things off, let's look at the key stakeholder requirements. The City of Arlington, they gave us these basic requirements that we need to meet. Now, all of these requirements are very high level, and we're going to have like individual requirements that are embedded within these big higher level requirements. So to start things off, we have that requirement to meet the end of the project by the start of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. So this is a key requirement that we have to meet. And then we have our budget constraints of $17.5 million. Another requirement that came from the city was that the A-2024 Stadium, home of the Dallas Cowboys, and then the Globe Life Park, where the Texas Rangers plays, they need to be connected to the Trinity Rail system, which connects the other two big cities in the Metroplex, Dallas and Fort Worth, to Arlington. This is to help move the population in and out during the game seasons. We also have to manage this entire project for the first year. So 2026, we are in charge. 2027, we go through a transitory period where we hand things off to the City of Arlington in phases. We have to include emergency phone services and the bus booths. Safety is pretty important. This is understandable. And then finally, we also are working on coming up with a plan, but we're trying to see how it fits into the budget. But the goal is to provide a solution for online ticketing so that we don't get long queues at ticketing booths. Next slide, please. Quickly covering the feasibility study that we conducted last year. We looked at the key traffic areas in the City of Arlington, and then we found that there is the northeast corner where we have the entertainment district, and then in the center, there's the university, and then in the south, we have the restaurants area and then the shopping mall. So the university students are like key riders, essentially, for the bus service. They're going to be frequenting the entertainment district quite a bit, and then obviously the restaurant area is also another high traffic area. So the feasibility study showed that with these three areas, we are able to support public transportation service for the city. Detailed planning is going to be carried out by Rodrigo in the phase 1 for the project when he's going through the route mapping and then the station placement sides. Next slide, please. So I want to cover the project budget. It is important. What we need to know is that the budget for this project is appropriating the budget that the city had for the ride sharing service. So it's taking that $17.5 million and they're going to give it to us in a period of 3 years. So we're not getting the money outright. We're going to get $5 million the first year and then followed by another 5 and a $7.5 million over a 3-year period. The budget needs to include all activities. This includes procurement, building, and also the first year of managing and that 1 year of transitory period. We need to cover all of this. So we just wanted to highlight that the budget is kind of tight. So just wanted to get everyone on board here. Next slide, please. So I want to touch on the approval process for any changes in this project. It is important for everyone to be aligned here. So any changes to requirements or the timeline or budget are going to have to be approved by the key stakeholders, and it needs to follow the protocols outlined in the requirement management plan. You guys have signed off the charter. You guys have seen the requirement management plan. So we just need to follow the protocols that we have outlined there. Another key thing is to make sure that any key tasks and completions of phases get signed off by the key individual stakeholders. This is important for us to keep record of things, and also it allows us to move on to the next phase knowing that we have met all the criteria, so it's quite important. Once things have been signed off, I'll be taking care of managing that document, and we're going to be logging it as a part of the project document that we can review later if things come up. With that, I'm going to hand over to Ms. Oriofa to go over the other fun stuff in the project kickoff meeting.
Thank you, Nazma. So right now I'm going to be talking about the scope to the timeline of this project. So like Nazma says, the aim of this project is essentially develop and implement a public transportation solution for the city of Arlington. And we as the NOR company we plan to complete this project by January 2026 in preparation for the 2026 FIFA World Cup that will be held at the A-2024 Stadium. The budget that has been approved for this project is $17.5 million and will be managed, and this project after completion will be managed by NOR before being transitioned to the city of Arlington in January of 2027. So there are two major phases in this project. The first phase is essentially the bus station building and route planning phase. So we will be determining 5 main routes within the city of Arlington based on our initial feasibility study. After determining these routes, we will then choose the best sites for bus stations, bus stops, shelters, and signage. After this is completed, we will then proceed with construction of said bus stations, stops, and bus shelters. The second phase after the completion of the first phase is the vehicle and staff resourcing, which I will be responsible for. Rodrigo is responsible for phase 1. I will be determining and approving vendors for the vehicles, as well as purchasing 20 buses with an occupancy of 40 to 60 passengers. And additionally, I will be developing and implementing a staff marketing plan to recruit and hire drivers and bus station staff. So these are the suggested routes for the project. There are 5 suggested routes, including the downtown loop and the stadium loop, which also cover the requirements that have been provided to us by the city of Arlington. So the stadium loop will involve the major stadiums within the city, as well as the downtown loop involving the entertainment sector and the high streets of the city of Arlington. And here's just a map kind of highlighting some of these routes that we are going to be implementing. You can see we have the various stops on here as well. So timeline. So we started this back in January 2023 in the project planning phase, and our charter was signed May of 2023. With June 2023 is when we conducted our feasibility study, and finally we're here at our kickoff meeting. Very exciting. We're looking into phase 1 this month and hoping to complete phase 1 by July of 2025, which will then start off our phase 2. After phase 2 is completed in October of 2025, we will be doing a phase 1 review. And then after the phase 1 review, we'll be doing another review of phase 2 in December of 2025. Our service launch is January 2026, as long as everything goes smoothly. And we will be handing over service afterwards in January 2027 to the city of Arlington. Now I'm going to pass it off to Rodrigo to talk about our risk assumptions and issues for this project.
Thanks, Riofa. I'm Rodrigo. I'll be in charge of phase 1, and I'll be talking to you guys about the risks. So obviously, security and safety is one of the biggest risks with the use of the buses and also the constructions of the bus stops. So that's our number 1 priority in risks. And then obviously regulatory and legal hurdles with including government and procurement. That's always a lot of paperwork that has to be done and a lot of legal concerns. So that's one of our risks. Integration with the existing system in Arlington, which is a cab that you call, which apparently doesn't work very well. Low ridership, increase in traffic in specific areas, and fuel price increase affecting operating costs. So for the assumptions, we assume there is a community demand. From our feasibility research, there clearly is. There's 395,000 people in the city. We see many events that are happening there. We have the All-Star MLB 2024 game, and we also have the World Cup, as well as all the entertainment venues that has been mentioned. Economic viability, supply chain on time. So we'll make sure that everything that is procured, we're assuming that everything that is procured will have no delays. We are also assuming no downtimes in the construction or in any equipment that will be required for our project. And then assuming environmental impact compliance. So everything that should be in compliance for our buses, that is filters or any aspect of our project is in compliance with environmental regulations. There's an assumption of labor availability, and from our feasibility report, we also seen that probably is the case from the age and the population of Arlington. And then our last assumption is continuous growth and development in the city of Arlington. For the issues, some issues that we have identified is bus lanes and how that will affect the pedestrian traffic with the sidewalk closures. Another issue is how those closures during the bus stop development will affect stores and businesses along those routes. We're hoping that those issues will be resolved once the project's completed, and those stores will actually have more flux and be better off. Another issue is increased need for security personnel to provide safety at those stations. Since this is a new concept for the city, we want to make sure there is no safety issues. And then potential scope creep mid-project. Anybody that has worked with projects knows how that can be an issue. So for the next, we're talking about dependencies. We are depending on timely approvals for the construction permits by the city officials, minimal to no changes in scope and budget. We are hoping for tasks on the critical path to be completed on time. We don't have any delays. And then we are hoping to procure all the project resources, contractors and suppliers on time and have everything available to complete the project. So lastly, for our reporting and communication plan, we are hoping to identify all stakeholders, their priorities in the project. We are creating a utilization project communication matrix, and we will be using the Microsoft project and Microsoft Teams tools for communication. Email will be used between the government officials and our team and our company to share the project developments. And within our team, we're having weekly meetings to talk about any issues or any accomplishments that we have for the week. And then most importantly, we will have quarterly meetings in the town halls with our customer, which is the government of Arlington, to address any concerns and update how the project is moving along.
Awesome. Thank you, Rodrigo. And thank you again, Nazmas. So this concludes the kickoff meeting presentation. Now we want to open the floor up for any questions, comments, concerns to everyone in class. So please feel free to share any questions that you might have. We'd be happy to answer them. We're very excited for this project, and we look forward to collaborating with the City of Arlington. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.